Gentlemen, I'm here to tell you that there are exactly 5 good tier 5 towers in the support category. For late game at least. I mean, all of them have utility and usefulness in late game, but only 5 really stand out as actual good towers. We have the Gigantosaurus with its massive amount of damage and stalling. We have the Super Mines for crazy damage, Homeland Defense for times 2 attack speed, Ultra Boost for more than times 2 attack speed, and the Sentry Champion for a lot of damage. These are all very good towers, and I'm going to go over why these towers rock and the rest of the towers suck. If I sound sick, it is because my stomach has been imploding over the past 24 hours, although I do feel better. Thank you for asking, even though none of you asked. Anyway, I'm going to see how much damage 3 of these towers do to high level bads. So we're going to be doing round 140, sometimes round 200, and if the tower does high enough damage, round 250. Of course, I'm not going to be testing the Ultra Boost and the Homeland Defense because while they are absolute DPS monsters, it would just be unfair to give them buffs because they would simply outclass every other tower in the game. Starting off with our first tower, I decided to do Super Mines, but however I'm not going to actually upgrade to Super Mines until I send the bat out, simply because I can have the least amount of actual mines on the screen at a time. There are going to be some spikes from the previous tiers, although they won't really do that much damage. As you can see, around 175, and we are absolutely annihilating this BAD. It's like the first, it's just rounding the corner and it already has so much damage done to it. 200,000, 300,000, and there we go. It is popped. So yeah, Super Mines is kind of good. Now we're going to go to around 250 to see if Super Mines can solo around 250 fortified bad. The reason Super Mines is so good is because it not only does very high single target damage, but it does very high single target damage to a lot of balloons at once, because these mines have a gigantic explosion radius. I mean, they can hit like, what, 1,500 balloons all at the same time with the explosion, and the explosion does 1,500 damage and has a massive DOT effect that does like double the damage of the actual explosion itself, plus the mine itself does like, I don't know, 500 damage to balloons before it explodes. So what is that, 3,500 DPS per mine? Unbelievable. And it's sending out 10 per second. So do the math. That is 35,000 damage per second. That is at the level of some paragons. Not even the weaker paragons, like Super Mines, fully buffed, can probably go toe-to-toe with the Ninja Paragon. Of course, a lower degree Ninja Paragon, but still the Ninja Paragon in terms of just single target DPS. The next tower we're going to be testing is the famed Sentry Paragon. Now, many Bloons tubers have made videos about how the Sentry Paragon is incredibly good for late game, because not only does the rate of which the Sentry Champion send out sentries is increased by attack speed buffs, but also the sentries themselves are increased by attack speed buffs. So if you apply like the true Sun God, then it's going to send out sentries 40% faster, but it's also going to do like 40% more damage per sentry because they're attacking under the True Sun God buff, which is incredibly powerful, meaning that this can very quickly skyrocket to terms of DPS that are unbelievable compared to what it usually would be. So the first test we're going to be doing for this guy is single target against a fortified batter around 140, and as you can see, it is not even close. It does not even get halfway through the top part of the track before it gets absolutely violated by the Sentry Champion. This next test is going to be against around 200 fortified bad, and believe it or not, this Sentry Champion that's on screen is actually not as strong as what it could be, because I'm not using any powers which would greatly increase its DPS, I'm not using a Zealy whose totem would greatly increase its DPS, and I'm also not using any debuffs which would add an extra 9 damage on top of the Sentry's 4, so it would be shooting with each bullet, or plasma ball, with 15 damage instead of just 4, making it almost 4 times stronger. Meaning right now, it wouldn't have almost popped this bad, it would have completely destroyed it half the track ago, because this tower is just that good. So it does 800,000 damage and pops the outer layer of the bad without debuffs. or Azili, or Powers. This tower is crazy. Now we're moving on to our final tower that I showed at the beginning of the video, that does actual DPS, and that is the Gigantosaurus. Now, the Beast Handler is not known for being a good tower. The Megalodon only works on bads up to like around 163, I think, or it could be 136, I'm not really sure. But the Megalodon is pretty useless after around 200. And the Poakai just sucks, straight up. It's a rubbish tower. Anyway, with a fully maxed Gigantosaurus, making it fully ultra boosted with Homeland and a True Sun God, and no other buffs because Permabrew doesn't work on animals. So you're telling me I can drug monkeys but not dinosaurs? This game is so weird. Anyway, moving on, we're putting it against around 200 fortified bad, and for all the people who say that Gigantosaurus is not a good late game tower, I just want you to look at this footage. So yeah, Gigantosaurus is kind of alright. Almost 1,000,000 damage on round 200 alone. Now, I know a few of you are saying, oh, but Gio, the Super Mind and the Century Champion did way more damage for way less money. And yes, I know, but remember, they had the benefits of Permabrew. As well as that, Super Minds is literally meant for late game, and Century Champion is probably the highest damage T5 tower besides Eventual True Sun God. So you think, oh, Max Gigantosaurus sucks, what about Minimum Gigantosaurus? Well, Minimum Gigantosaurus just beat up around 140 BAD by itself, with no mini beast handlers helping it. Here's the minimum power Gigantosaurus against around 200 BAD, and as you can see, it is nowhere close to the power of the maximum attack speed and damage Gigantosaurus, but it isn't bad. Around 200,000 damage, that's alright for a tier 5 tower. But now I'm going to compare it to a few paragons here. I have a degree 22 Dart Paragon, which obviously is not going to be excellent on a map with 0 obstacles, but it's still a paragon. But it is the weakest possible paragon, except for the fact that it's degree 22. So it's a little stronger than degree 1, but the fact that it has no obstacles and it's the weakest paragon, I'm not really making that much of a case here. But now I'm going to put it up against a degree 97 Dart Paragon. I'm going to be honest, I was pretty bummed when I found out that it was degree 97 and not degree 100, because I thought I put down enough Paragon Power Totems, but you know what, degree 97, gigantic upgrade from degree 22. And here I'm going to see how much damage it does overall. Once again, it's on a map with no obstacles, so the Dart Paragon is severely hindered here, but a lot of the time it is shooting against the wall. But look at this, a degree almost 100 Paragon did less damage than the minimum buffed Gigantosaurus. But now I'm going to put up the max buff Gigantosaurus against a slightly stronger opponent, a degree 64 Megas Perfectus. Now, the Megas Perfectus does not care if there are obstacles on the map. In fact, it benefits from no obstacles. However, it did do a grand total of 500,000 damage. That ain't bad. You know, the 500,000 damage on any tower is pretty good. It's just that I sent out the Gigantosaurus both fortified bads on round 200, which technically biased the pops, but even if you assume that it did equal damage to the second and first bad, which I assure you it did not, it did way more damage than first bad, if you divided the max Gigantosaurus' damage evenly in two, then the max Gigantosaurus did over 400,000 damage to a fortified bad, and a degree 64 Megas Perfectus did only 500,000. Gigantosaurus is stronger than a lot of paragons. Now, obviously, doing singular tower tests is a bit cringe, so here we have all 3 DPS dealing towers, as well as the Homeland Defense, an Ultra Boost, a Permabrew, and a True Sun God. dealing the maximum amount of buffs to all these towers as possible. Except for Azili. Anyway, they're going up against round 250, so let me just speed up the video real quick. Hell yeah, we speed! Now I have acquired the amount of pops on all the towers, so we got the Super Mines at 7 million pops, Bob the Builder at 4.8 million, and the Giganosaurus at 3.7 million. That's not bad. Giganosaurus scales pretty well against Bob the Builder here and the Super Mines. These are very high damages for just one round, and they're the only towers doing a lot of that damage. And they only lost like 500,000 lives. That's pretty good. So these are the 5 best support T5 towers for late game. Except I know there's going to be that one person in the comments. Oh, Brazio, what about the other 2 tier 5 spike factories? They're pretty good. You know what? Fine. Let's test them both. I have been humbled. That one guy in the comments was absolutely correct. The Middle Path Spike Factory is indeed a very, very good late game tower. It is incredible how many spikes it puts out, like hundreds. Look at this attack speed. It is just speed running getting these spikes out. And after a few abilities, and there's a bunch of spikes on the map, I used 1 or 2 abilities beforehand, but look at this. 2 million damage on around 250 fortified bad. It pops the outer layer. And I may have used the ability once or twice before, but imagine if I didn't. Imagine if I'd only used the ability like once, or if there were no extra spikes on the map. See, here is round 250, and it's already doing very, very well, with over 1 million pops already, and that wasn't even against any bads. The rate of spikes it puts out is unbelievably quick. Like, I'm pretty sure this is faster than its actual ability. I'm not even kidding. Most of its damage is coming from the actual spike output and not the abilities itself. Sure, I am refreshing the cooldowns, but come on, most of you are going to be using powers with this guy, and I respect that. But can powers get you more than 4.7 million pops? Actually, they probably could. Powers are incredibly useful in this game. But still, 4.66 million pops by itself on round 250. One comment section guy, you are absolutely correct. There are 6 good late game towers in support category. However, I'm determined to keep it at 6 because, let's be real, Permaspike sucks late game. It used to be an absolute unit, but now it's kind of mid, honestly. Like, B tier at best. This pile of spikes I've been let sitting here for an entire minute in fast mode, and look at this. Only 800,000, where its middle path and top path counterparts did well over 1 million. That spike pile has been sitting there for over 180 seconds in slow mode, and it's pumping out a lot of spikes. This is a lot of spikes, so I decided to put it against a weaker, less fast balloon, but with less of a time for it to build up its spikes. So let's see how it does. And here comes the round 200 fortified bad. I know this video's been a lot of yapping from me so far, but come on, I need to put in mid-roll ads, even though I've disabled mid-roll ads. So let's see how much damage it does. Yeah, 1.2 million. But let's be fair, that pile of spikes has been sitting there for 300,000 years. It can't even pop all the insides either. It just lets them waltz on by. Even a degree 1 Dart Paragon on good Mac could probably defeat around 200 fortified bad all by itself. Permaspike can't even do it with a minute of prep time. Permaspike really has fallen from grace. And for those of you who think that primary expertise is going to be a good late game option for DPS, you are absolutely incorrect. This is like pathetic amounts of DPS. I mean, come on. Really? like 50,000 on a 200 fortified bad, that's actual rubbish. Like, that's degree 1 Dart Paragon levels of rubbish. And for the 3 Poakai fans in the Bleeding Tower Defense 6 community, I hate to inform you, but Poakai sucked even more. 33,000 DPS. Oh my days. It doesn't even, it can't even get ultra boosted. The Poakai cannot even get ultra boosted. Or perma-brute. It is the most pathetic T5 I've ever seen. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. A 16-minute rant video on why there are exactly 6 good late game T5s in the support category. I really hope you did enjoy listening to me rant for a quarter of an hour. I will see you next week with another video.